Thank you for joining us for the Miami Valley Salute to Veterans. I'm Cindy LaPointe-Dafler, a volunteer for the Miami Valley Communications Council. My husband was killed in Vietnam in 1969. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Being around our veterans and talking with them, hearing their stories and their thoughts, is my way of honoring his legacy. We hope that hearing these memories from the veterans of our community will help us all better understand the dedication of those who have served. Today we're talking with Amanda DiPietro of Dayton, an Army veteran who served from year 2000 to 2012, and she'll tell us the story of her time in the military. And thank you for being with us. When you went into the military, what made you decide to go into the military first, and then what made you choose the Army?
Well, I was in Navy ROTC in high school for 4 years, so I had a little bit of an idea, but I was kind of wishy-washy. And the reason I went to the Army Reserves is because they had a better kind of like work and school program.
I see.
So I needed it for college a little bit, and I just kind of wanted to explore, different places and get some traveling in.
And you did?
Very much.
Okay. So had you been taking some college when you went into the Army?
No, I went straight out of high school.
Uh-huh.
So I was in delayed entry program January of 2000, and I didn't leave for basic until August 2000.
Okay.
So that's when my time officially started.
All right. So you were at home. Had you ever traveled before?
We did field trips in ROTC to Florida, Pensacola. It was really cool. We went to Detroit, Michigan, Mobile, Alabama. But I was always with people, so this was the first time on my own.
I see.
So.
And where did you go for your basic training?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay, and how was that?
I enjoyed it. I was nervous, but I kind of had fun. And I was one of those where I just kind of blended in, so I didn't really get yelled at a lot.
That's good.
So, and plus I had the ROTC, we marched, and I had a little bit more knowledge kind of before I went in. So
about how things work.
Right. And I knew that, they were, going to be in your face and yell at you and whatnot, but it wasn't anything against me. It was just that's how they trained you.
Sure.
Yeah, because I was kind of a sensitive person, and so I had to prepare myself and be like, okay, they're not mad at me. They got to break you down and build you back up. That's just how they do it. It has nothing to do with you.
You really learned that, didn't you?
Yeah, and it gave me a tough skin.
Yeah, I bet. So did you practice with, you trained, you got up in the morning early and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Had to do a lot of running, I assume, and...
Yeah, a little bit of everything. One thing they used to like to say is you're guaranteed 4 hours of sleep, but it doesn't have to be consecutive.
Oh my gosh.
So that was really interesting. And then we got there on a bus. They start yelling at you, and it was really late, midnight, 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, we don't have to do all that stuff in the morning because, we got there. You barely got any time after you had to get all your stuff inspected, this, and this. You got to get signed in. You had maybe an hour if you were lucky, then straight into the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When you went in, what MOS were you?
Well, I went in as a mental health specialist. So in order to be mental health, I had to do combat medic training because I had to know the physical part before I did the mental part. Mm-hmm. And so I passed that, and then about halfway through the training, I failed. So you only get 3 tests to retake, and I had failed the last test, and they call it recycling you. So I just said, my reserve unit, I was like, I'm homesick. I want to go home. And so, but my reserve unit said, we have too many medics, so we want you to be medical supply. So I had to stay there, and then I did that training, and it kind of was funny because I graduated a day before my original mental health class was going to end. So it was, it was like a shorter course, but I still, was there about the same amount of time.
So you say this was not regular Army, it was a reserve?
Well, yeah, the unit that I was in, because I went reserve because I didn't know what I was getting into, and I didn't want to just, jump into something for 4 years and not be able to make my own decisions. So I said, well, I'll try the reserve, try to do some college, and I just enjoyed it so much. And I was like, I want to go active duty. And it was around when September 11th happened. So, but I had already been planning on wanting to go. And I was like, well, they're probably going to make us go anyway to war. So I was like, I might as well just go ahead and make it my own choice.
Right, right. Okay. And what did you say you went for basic training? You said you went.
Oh, it was Fort Sam Houston, Texas, San
sure.
Antonio.
Yeah, where the medics get trained.
Yep. That's usually where the medical is. It was about a year that I was there. I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
That's great. And what did you think of basic training? Was it too much and not enough? What?
I enjoyed it. It was really tough. But you just kind of have to like put all that stuff in the back of your mind. This is what you have to do, whether you like it or not. And like I said, with that little bit of some military knowledge I had, it was a little bit easier for me
Than some of the others, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
But
my
overall,
gosh.
it was fun. Like I look back, and it was one of the best times of my life. I'm really glad that I did it.
Yeah. So you had your basic there and your advanced training there?
Well, I had basic training in Fort Jackson, South
Oh,
Carolina.
Fort Jackson, that's right.
And then actually in between we had Christmas. So I got lucky and got to go home for like 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of got a break. It wasn't just straight in.
What was the best part of your training?
AIT or basic?
Either.
Either. I like basic because you kind of had that camaraderie because you're going through all that stuff together. And you just get really close to people. And they had this thing where you'd have a battle buddy, and it was kind of alphabetical. This person you had to go with everywhere. Like if you were in the field, you'd have to go to the bathroom together. If you one time, this is kind of a weird thing, but we had to dig a foxhole, and it was frozen ground with the E-tool. And so it's the same person. So we had to try to dig through that. And then we had old Vietnam style training because it hadn't flipped over to, the training they have now. And we had that little metal stick, and we had to breathe on it to put our camo on because it was frozen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was kind of, it toughened you up, but it was kind of a cool experience because who can say that, you've ever done that? And then I got to shoot different weapons that, you can say, well, no one's ever done that.
What were you trained on then?
Well, it was just kind of, they say never volunteer, but I kind of wanted to experience things. So they're like, who wants to shoot this? And I was like, oh yeah, me. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but
Okay.
you shot it at like it's like kind of like a rocket kind of thing, and you shoot it at like an old tank.
Oh
So I don't know if it was like a rocket launcher, but it was really cool.
my gosh.
But we got trained on like things like claymore, grenades, M16, just kind of the basic stuff.
Oh wow.
It was really cool.
Had you handled any kind of weapon before when you were?
No, but before I left, I was dating this guy, and he was a hunter. And he's like, well, I want you to know what it's like to shoot a weapon before you go because I don't want you to be scared about it.
Wow.
So I got that experience. And plus the drill sergeant, to kind of make us feel at ease, he would show that there was no kickback. And he had the weapon, and he held it in a certain area that would hurt if there was a kickback. And he shot from it, and he's like, see, it doesn't hurt. So he's like, if I can shoot from my hip area, then you're going to be fine. So he tried to make it easier for us.
What was your class, mixed or was it all women?
Mixed.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they have all female basic. They have all male, and then they have like mixed.
Okay. I was curious about that. Does any instructor in particular stand out in your memory?
My drill sergeants, they were just complete opposites. One, we kind of said kind of looked like Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
And one was like, kind of reminded us of Spider-Man because he was so lanky, but he was super strong.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, there's a rivalry between like airborne and air assault. There's this little rivalry, and one was air assault and one was airborne. So they always tease each other about it. So, they just were funny, and, they made things a little bit easier.
Kind of competitive between each other.
Yeah, but in like a funny way.
Yeah.
It wasn't like animosity. It was just, I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I'm like, wow. They just got paired together, and I'm like, well, they made it work.
They did. So you qualified for that equipment, right?
Yes.
Any other equipment, trucks or?
Yeah. Since I was medical, we learn driving and stuff when we're in our first duty station. They don't really teach that in basic. It's just basic soldiering.
Okay.
Like bayonet, weapon, that kind of thing. And so I got trained on Humvee, 5-ton, and, radio, that kind of stuff. You have to kind of know a little bit
Okay.
of everything since we were support.
So what was your first duty assignment?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Okay. Still in the South.
Yeah, I'm surprised I made it. I cannot do heat very well, and it was hot.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Yeah. So what did you do there?
Medical supply. I actually picked it. Since going in from reserves going in, I got to pick where I wanted to go. And everyone's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because no one wanted to go there. They called it the armpit of the Army. And they're like, are you sure you want to go there? And I said, yeah. And ended up being the best duty station I was ever at.
Really?
Like camaraderie-wise. Area-wise, there wasn't much to do. They just had like tattoo parlors and bars, and there's not much to do around there. You'd have to travel like an hour or so just to do anything. But the training, the unit, the people I worked with, that was the best experience.
Wow.
I was there 6 years.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah, because I kind of took my time re-enlistment at a time to see kind of where I was at. I had to I couldn't re-enlist right at that moment, so they kind of signed me on for like the in-between time to when I could re-enlist. So I ended up being there longer than the minimum of 4 years, which is usually each duty station is about 4 years.
Did you have another duty station after that?
Yes.
Where did you go?
Well, I went to Vicenza, Italy, which was my favorite area of all time. I was supposed to go to Germany, but that area, that base had shut down. They're like, well, we're sorry. We're going to have to send you to Italy. And I said, darn.
Oh, gee, poor me.
Darn. That's where I wanted to go in the first place. Last name DiPietro.
Yeah.
Even though it's a married last name, it was still Italian.
Sure.
So, and I loved it. But in between both of those, I had to go to Iraq.
Did you?
Or no, Kuwait. I had to go to Kuwait. So
what happened there?
Well, we were there only 3 months. We don't know why we had to be there, but I guess a colonel or somebody wanted to earn his little stripe, combat thing before he retired. So we were there about 3 months.
This was during?
Yeah, it was around 2003, I believe. So it was kind of still the start, and we were like right near Iraq. So we had like a lot of Scud alerts, which means, there could be an incoming rocket. Wake you up in the middle of the night, got to get all your gear on, run downstairs. And sandstorms were really bad. Oh my gosh, you'd be eating sand for weeks.
Oh, that must have been quite an experience.
Yeah.
And you were still in supply?
Yes. Yeah, the whole time I've been in supply.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like? What were your duties in supply?
Well, it kind of depends. You can do warehouse, which is, getting stuff off the truck, inventorying it, putting it up, assigning a place for it, and then people would come in and be like, well, we need this, this, and this, and you get it for them. Hospital, I got to work at a couple hospitals. So that's basically like you have this one little area, and then you get assigned certain areas like labor and delivery, and you have a whole list, and so you got to print it out, and then you go pick up your supplies, and then you go and deliver it to them in the hospital, and then you got to put it in the computer, that it's delivered and all that. So
You do inventory then?
Yeah.
Do you order resupply?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like for the hospitals, all we did was they would send us what we wanted or what they needed, and we would just print it off and pick it. But in wartime is a little different. Warehouse stuff is a little bit more labor, instead of just 'cause you have to offload and go through the boxes and count everything, and
3 months seemed like it was a lot longer than 3 months.
very much so. Yeah. And it was kind of funny because it went from Operation Enduring Freedom, OEF, to Operation Iraqi Freedom while I was there. So it changed names.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
So that's your OEF, OIF,
And then
Veteran.
OND. Yep.
OND.
Operation New Dawn.
Oh,
So I can say, I've been to 3 wars, even though it was the same war. It's just 3 different campaigns.
right.
Yeah. But for the most of the time, it was the Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Yeah. Wow. And let's go back to Italy. Was that before or after Kuwait?
After.
Okay.
And I did Kuwait, and then around 2006, I volunteered for another unit from Colorado. They needed medical supply people.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, we need you to either volunteer or we're going to pick people. And I was single, didn't have any kids. I was like, yeah, I'll go, let them have time with their family, stuff like that. So a couple of us, said, we'll go. And we went in, and
You went to Colorado?
no, it was a unit from Colorado, but they were in Baghdad,
Oh,
the green zone.
wow. So how long were you there?
We went a little bit late. Usually it's about a year. But I would say we were there maybe about 7 months, something like that.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was one of the scariest.
I was going to say it had to be scary.
Yeah. Because where we lived, we had these little trailers that we shared, and we were right near the airfield. And, they like to attack that. So it was different because you couldn't see people shooting at you, because it was just bombs and stuff. They were mortars. So that you would just be sleeping, and all of a sudden the whole thing would shake. They just drop mortars over. So that was the scary part of not knowing, So.
Were you able to carry weapons?
Oh, yeah, we had to.
You had to carry
Yeah,
weapons.
and the Air Force, they didn't. I don't know, they put theirs up. I don't know why, but it was kind of cool though. I met people from Nepal, Fiji, Australia, England. So that was my favorite part about it, is I got to know a lot of different people and make friends from different countries and learn different languages. Like Fiji is bula bula. It's like, hi, how are you? And then, like Nepal, they're like, kind of like a namaste kind of thing, It was really cool trying to learn different languages and at least how to say hi.
Yeah.
And we met Special Forces people because we were supply, and they were just real cool. Really
That's
cool.
good. That's good. So there was some good from that,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
even though there was a lot of fear.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah, you made the best of it,
Sure.
But, like I said, and when you're in a combat environment, it's a little different. It's, like basic, you have that, it's like that same kind of camaraderie where you're put in a situation you're not used to, and you just kind of bond, like, quick.
Yeah.
Because, you have to,
Yeah. Get to know them.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, this is Miami Valley Communications Council Salute to Veterans podcast. I'm your host, Cindy LaPointe-Dafler, and today we're talking with Amanda DiPietro, an Army veteran. Then, did you go to Italy right after that, or
Yes.
came home to the States for a
Came
while?
home for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I got the orders, oh, hey, sorry, you have to go to Italy.
Sorry.
Yeah. We couldn't give you Germany. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. So I got to go there, and that was, oh God, that was beautiful.
Well, tell me what you saw and what you did.
I made a good friend there. She was a hairstylist on base. She was Italian, French, and Swiss. So she knew 4 different languages. And she got to take me to different little places that a lot of other people didn't know about because she lived there. So I got to go to see Romeo and Juliet's castle for free.
Wow.
because it was like a version of 4th of July, kind of. So I got to see that. Got to go to Germany. Got to go to
Germany
Austria.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Got to see Austria. Just walking down the street, there's just so much history. It's just beautiful. Like just looking out your window is just so much.
Where in Italy were you?
Vicenza, it's about in between, I would say it's about 45 minutes from Venice.
Okay.
So we'd go to Venice a lot. And a tip, if you ever go to Venice, don't go during the summertime because the water stinks. Yeah, it's you don't want to be a part of that.
Go in the wintertime.
Yeah, go when it's a little cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. So what did you see in Venice?
Got to see the canal. We got to see their it's kind of like a Mardi Gras type thing where they have all the masks, and it's like their kind of version of it. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But everyone dresses up and it's packed. You can't hardly get through anywhere. But it's just everyone's wearing all these old-timey costumes, and if you don't mind crowds, it's really cool. Really cool to see.
Yeah. Okay. And did you ever get to like Rome?
No,
Okay.
I wish I could have gone there.
Well,
But, I got to see Austria and stuff. I think that was one of my favorite places.
what did you see in Austria?
We did like a little trip, like a little day trip. And it was just like you saw these buildings with like gold domes. And it was just so surreal. It was like there hadn't been snow the whole time, and the very time we were there, it snowed. So it was like being in a snow globe almost.
Oh, wow.
It was just so beautiful. And then they had this thing called glue wine. It sounds disgusting, but it's kind of like a mix of like apple cider and wine, and it's warm and it tastes delicious, especially when it's cold. Then they had these little fried breads, and you could either get sauerkraut or some kind of jam on it. I got the sauerkraut. It was so good. It was so pretty.
Wow. What did you do in Germany?
I was there for Warrior Leadership Course,
Ah.
WLC. It used to be called PLDC. It's like going from E4 to E5, learning how to be an NCO.
Okay.
So I went there for that, and then afterwards I had my PRK eye surgery, which is like LASIK.
Oh,
So I had that done there too.
in
So,
Germany?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay. So you weren't in combat, but you were kind of in combat support, right?
Yes.
That's what that's considered.
Yeah, kind of like how MASH was in a sense.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it went from like field hospital, MASH, combat support hospital, all that kind of stuff. It changed names, but it's kind of the same thing. Because I was in the last field hospital they had, which was in Fort Polk, and then it turned into a cache, and then it's just, yeah, you're kind of there, but you're not right on the lines, even though you kind of are, because it's a different war where you're not fighting face to face. So
Right.
you're still getting attacked, but you're just not shooting,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And you're not seeing their faces.
Exactly.
Yeah. How did that change you?
Well, when I was in Kuwait, there was a guy, he kind of knew everybody, and we were able to go off base and go to the mall. Yeah, I know. He knew a lot of people.
Wow.
And so we went to the mall there, and you're just like kind of looking around, and you're just like, it's just families just enjoying a day at the mall.
Wow.
It'd be just like in America, families with their kids eating at the food court, and I can't even imagine just spending time with your family and then all of a sudden a bomb goes off near you when you're just at the mall with your family.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and you just realize like it's very humbling. And you're just like everyone's just people. So you see a face, you don't see all the bad. You see like, these people have to live in fear because of these radical people, and they're just like us. And we had housekeepers and stuff that would get attacked and taken away from the world because they worked for us. That
Kidnapped.
and other stuff.
Another
Some
stuff.
other not nice stuff. So they never came back. And just because they would work for us.
Because they're working for Americans.
Yeah, and they did different routes every time they'd have to come to work. And all they would do would just like what I do for work, housekeeping, just clean the hospital.
Yeah.
That's all they were doing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was very, very eye-opening.
So to change the mood,
Right.
do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events during your time?
Not like a big one, but just like little stuff that we would do.
Yeah.
I had this one friend, and we'd have to go through the gate and give them our ID and stuff. And so we all went out to Chinese restaurant, and so I was behind my friend, and she had a crab leg, and she put her ID in and gave it to the MP. He started laughing. Just trying to brighten their day because they have to stand there for hours. So we would like try to make them laugh
Oh my
when we
gosh.
would go through, just kind of tease each other. Like our NCO, like he was the best NCO I've ever had, and we would joke with him. He's like, in private, you don't have to be all formal.
Okay.
And then we would kind of tease him in front of people, and he's like, get down. We'd have to do push-ups and stuff, but it was worth it. But we basically learned how to use humor to kind of,
Sure.
So, but yeah, it was just goofing around and making jokes and,
There was laughing.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, wow.
And that bonded us even more too.
What was the best part of your military experience?
It's hard to pick. Experience-wise, I really enjoyed basic. I know that sounds kind of weird, but looking back on it, I really enjoyed what I learned. I loved going to Europe. That was my favorite, getting to go somewhere. And
Just what you wanted.
exactly. And I would say Fort Polk, just the people, like just everything I learned. And I still talk to them, those people to this day. So,
That's nice. Do you ever have any kind of reunion thing? Or
we tried to set one up a couple times, but it always fell through. But we were definitely trying because I don't know if it was first duty station thing. That's why we were all bonded or what, but that unit, I don't know.
personalities, perhaps?
Yeah, like in the training, and it wasn't toxic, and it was just fun, and you learned a lot, and people respected you for your work ethic, not whose butt you could kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. So you got out in 2012. How did you readjust to civilian life?
I'm still kind of readjusting.
Are you?
I think it's going to be, especially being in for so long. And I tried college, I tried different jobs, but I got blessed when I got the job I have now because I work at the VA. I get to be around veterans. I get to be around people who were in the military that I work with. So we kind of have like same work ethic. And I've been there about 8 years now, and I love it.
Wow.
So I got very blessed that I was able to get a job that helps me readjust.
Mm-hmm.
Like still get to keep the military mindset in a sense, but, be also around civilians and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's been a big part of my reintegration.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Did you join a veteran organization, or you kind of just depend on your
Well,
people you come in contact with?
I tried to do a VFW,
Did you?
but it just didn't work out. AVHC, I do a lot of volunteer work stuff. It's not really, I'm not like a member, so to speak, but I try to do a lot of stuff with, with people. It's how I met you, and you just meet a lot of good people that are doing stuff for veterans, and it's fun.
Yeah, it is. So you tried reunions, but you still talk to all those folks that
Yeah,
you
as best you
got
can.
close to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least Facebook wise, like, oh hey, how are you doing?
sure.
But it's not like an everyday thing.
Right.
There's maybe like one person that I have their cell phone number, or maybe two people.
Yeah. Is there any stories or anything you want to say, share about your service or your veteran experience that you haven't?
Well, mine's kind of a unique perspective, being a woman veteran.
Yes.
I would just say that women veterans can still have similar experiences to male veterans. And a lot of times, like, well, you didn't have to shoot your weapon and you didn't have to see the atrocities of war. You know, we had it harder. We were on the front line and whatnot. And everyone has their own unique experience. And just kind of keep in mind that regardless of what gender that you are, that you experience things in different ways.
Sure.
You know.
Would you recommend to young people coming up to consider the military?
Well, it kind of depends on their situation, but yeah, like I would just, my friend, his son actually went into the Army, and he would ask questions and stuff, and you just kind of tell them what you know, and you gotta be honest, but not, like brutal or sugarcoat anything,
I got you. No extreme either way.
Yeah, like this is what I experienced, this is what I took out of it. One thing I say is what I told you in the beginning, like they're going to yell at you, this and that, just don't take it personally. It has nothing to do with you.
Right.
So.
Right. Oh, wow. What would you like people to remember from your story?
The military kind of helped give me toughen me up a little bit, but I was still able to keep the kind of heart that I have. If anything, it made it more empathetic, just because of things people you've met and things you've encountered, and but I don't get as offended as easily, but I feel like I have more compassion for others because of different people that I've met in different cultures and different all that situations. So,
did you always have a very strong work ethic, even when you were before your service, or while you were in school or whatever?
Yeah, actually, my dad.
You grew up that way.
Yeah, my dad was a Marine, so yeah, he was in Vietnam, and then he went into the Army Reserves, and he pretty much raised me, and he instilled, you got to work hard for what you want, and I mean, my first job, I was a teenager, I wasn't that great. But the military helped kind of give me that discipline and, to, try not to get overwhelmed with everything all at once, just do a little bit at a time. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just made me be able to prioritize things better.
Well, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it really helped out with that. Instead of just, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like, they tell you what to do, and you're like, okay, well, how do I do it? Okay, this is how you do it. All right.
Yeah.
It was simple in a sense.
In a sense, yeah.
In a sense, yeah. But I mean, don't fold your socks wrong because they'll throw them out, But, it just depends, it gave me that ability to kind of prioritize and to, have a little bit more discipline in my life.
Well, I have personal experience with you that you are a great worker and
I appreciate that.
very sincere. I appreciate that too. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate you coming in and talking with us and telling us about your experience in the military. I think it'll mean a lot to our audience too.
I hope so. I hope someone can take something out of it, and I'm glad that you're doing this to kind of keep people's stories alive, for military, and that's really something special.